Yeah, dear aspirants, today we have with us father of CSAT examination for the civil service exams, Shri Professor D.P. Agarwal sir. So, who introduced a lot of reforms in the civil service exams, and not only that, not only reforms in the examination system, he also introduced the online system for the civil services application and UPSC online system. So today we discuss certain points of how to prepare for the civil service and the particularly the CSAT, how to overcome the issue of CSAT. People, most of the people are worried about the CSAT. Why CSAT is being introduced, and he is also known for introducing the ethics paper in the mains as well, with the majority of the marks given in the entire examination system. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Yeah,
My pleasure to be here.
so, what actually was running in your mind when you have introduced CSAT, sir?
CSAT, in fact, is a very interesting paper. It has been designed to test the aptitude of a future bureaucrat and also do things ethically.
Yes.
Uh, when I became chairman, in fact, even when I was a member, I used to meet very young collectors and also a chance to meet very senior bureaucrats in the training academy, the Missouri. They always believe that young people who are coming today are not very clear which way they should go in their lives. So some start believing that coming to civil service is power, power alone. And we always know that power corrupts people. So there were chances, a lot of charges of corruption against certain bureaucrats. So on a aptitude aspect, normally a bureaucrat looks at numbers, analyze numbers, whether it is the population growth, the medical support, the education, crop production. So it is a number. So if you are in a district and district collector, you like to know how your district is doing, your expenditure on certain areas, water bodies. So everything is a number.
Yeah.
And those numbers they will analyze, look at how to improve those numbers in a manner that the public at large be benefited. It has two elements therefore. They should understand numbers and they should understand to manipulate numbers.
Yes.
So if you look at one of the component in CSAT is those number understanding manipulation, which some people start calling as a mathematics. There is no mathematics. It is simple numbers, number manipulation, understanding them in their impact on decision making. There is no algebra, there is no trigonometry, there is no differential equation. So it is purely numbers. And you would remember before I made this change, this component used to be in the paper one. That time there used to be one general studies paper and second used to be optional subject. Now since we have to ensure there is no option, in preliminary exam is a common exam so that the complaint by candidate that this paper was simple and therefore selected, I wanted to avoid that. So two issues, one that I wanted to bring a common exam. So paper 2 was to removed. Paper 2 was optional. So I brought CSAT, which was aptitude in ethics. Okay, aptitude first thing is a bureaucrat number manipulation, policy making, and impact of it. So that's one component. Second component is that each bureaucrat has to interact. Bulk of the people who are in top civil service for cross state interaction, people do use English as a communication language. You also remember that even in the previous scheme, English qualifier is a must. And I've noticed in my time that many candidates, when appear in the main, will fail in English qualifier. Now you can imagine a candidate who had prepared for main and was not concentrating on English as a subject. And if he fails in the main, it's a much bigger catastrophe. So I thought, let very small component be brought to the prelim so that they become serious about it. In any case, they have to qualify. So to bring that little seriousness, we brought something which students do in school. What do they do in school? You get a paragraph, you comprehend a paragraph, and based on some questions, out of that comprehension, you answer.
Yes.
And each student in this country in 8th, 9th, 10th standard does this without fail. So there was nothing big about it. It was simple to ensure that the candidate becomes serious, take English also as a relevant requirement because it is a requirement in the mains. So their failure rate must come down. And the impact was right in the first year, the failure rate in the mains because of English came down. But people thought I'm imposing English. Idea was very different. Idea was very clear that you have to in any case pass that. So you become serious, continue to learn. In civil service means one mistake you're out.
Yes.
So that's why we brought comprehension, we brought some question in English, very brief grammar. They used to about 8 questions and people objected. Second thing which I did was that in the previous exam, there were 2 papers and both were counted towards
Yes.
merit. But since there was questions raised after I left on CSAT, they made CSAT as only a qualifier. Now disadvantage of qualifier is that you have to in any case qualify. You have to spend time to do it.
Yes.
But your effort to get better marks there, which is actually an aptitude for a bureaucrat, is not judged. Your marks are judged based on the first paper. First paper is only 200 marks. So your merit is drawn out to 200. And therefore, qualifying prelim has become more difficult. Everybody knows who understand the evaluation examination that if I evaluate candidate over a large marks, say 1000 marks, that evaluation is better than if I evaluate the same syllabi on a 200 marks. Because giving marks by exam, say in a 200 marks, 90.2 is difficult. But on a 1000 scale, they become 92 itself.
Okay.
So discrimination is better. This commission did not realize when I left. Therefore, today it is first paper and second paper is to qualify. Whatever marks. So CSAT therefore is important for him to understand number, communication, bit of English required. And ethics is important because people start believing that day one they will go and earn money. We thought the rule of law, compassion,
So,
in human behavior is a must.
do you think that after 12 years of implementing the CSAT examination, the same spirit that you thought is continuing to exist?
By and large, is impacted. I already said that people at least now read what ethics is about. It's almost like saying that if I'm telling honesty is the best policy, keep on saying, interacting with them, tell them, something will go in their heads. It is affecting.
Sorry, the APPSC
And the other thing is that we bring case studies
Okay.
in ethics. So what does a bureaucrat do? We bring that. So they know actually how the bureaucrat takes a decision in a situation which is complex.
In the history of UPSC, 3 major reforms have been introduced. One in 1979 on the recommendations of Kothari Committee, then 88 Satish Chandra Committee, then Alag Committee. So, why these reforms? Each reform is slightly contradicting with each other. Sir.
No, they are not contradictory. First one simply said the focus of the Kothari Commission was before that we used to have selection for IAS
Yes.
separately, others separately. So what Kothari said, let we choose some bright student, put them in a merit, and according to the merit they will choose the service, and then the training would start. But that concept continues and we have not changed.
Yes.
Satish Chandra did was that he wanted to bring more communication in writing. Though they, in the main paper there was already communication, so he brought essay,
Generalists.
writing an essay as one of the component. So in Kothari Commission scheme, there was no essay. But Satish Chandra brought an essay.
Yes.
Now that also has not changed. what the third gentleman has done,
Alak committee.
his recommendations were not accepted.
Yes.
They actually were not processed. And in that, he has spoken of CSAT.
CSAT. Yes.
In fact, if you ask me, he has articulated CSAT up to a point where it is only aptitude. I have extended to ethics and made it a much wider frame of a CSAT which a bureaucrat would do. The second thing which was lacking in essay, and I realized when I was a member in chair, that essay was to be a single essay. And these essays were also used to be some out of this world kind of topics. It was more of an English writing on an issue.
Yes.
And it used to be about 25 pages or 30 pages. When we look at the marks and the kind of content people wrote, the content quality was, after 5-6 pages, was useless. Then I talked to a lot of bureaucrats and asked them, after all, why should I have an essay? Essay is written to articulate on a particular point so that we can express our views correctly and come out with a policy frame.
Yeah.
Then I talked to a lot of people in policy and they said we don't write more than 10 pages of a quality paper. So I divided the essay in two, and the two essays were started from my time. Each essay will consist of 10 to 15 pages, and the essays were divided in the social sector and economic sector. Because that's what the governance is. Governance is not to find out what is the utopian topic given any articulates. It is not articulation in English. I always thought it was an articulation for policy. So if I am discussing if the women percentage in Andhra Pradesh is 25% in higher education, how does it compare other states and how do I improve in Andhra Pradesh? What is the social factor? If that is an essay with candidate articulate, that's what a bureaucrat would do. So my thinking of essays was understanding the governance, articulate that, bring it to policy. And that's the difference. So there is a continuity, there is no break. I made it continuous. I also try to ensure that as far as possible the exam be common. If you remember in the previous setup, there used to be two optionals.
Yes.
And the both optionals were taken by candidates. 90% were those who were not studied by the university.
Yes.
So that means it has allowed parallel education to grow. And there were no advantage. So some would say that I take history and I take, say, for example, second paper as philosophy. Firstly, the calendar to do the exam was difficult because 30 choice here, 30 choice there. So putting two combinations in a mirror. So exam used to be more than a month. Number of papers to be done large. Secondly, it was not helping. So I articulated ultimately what does a governance do. So 4 papers today. One deals with the knowing India is culture, culture, history, architecture, geography, everything. So it is full knowledge of country. Second paper deals with the governance, polity, constitution, relationships. Third paper deals with the rule of law and judiciary and blah blah. And fourth is ethics.
Yes.
So these are 4 common, essay common, English paper common, language paper common. So 5 paper which are counted now common. So students can't say that we have been discriminated. So I have these 4 paper every day. So 4 days. Then I have an option. Now option is unique. It's not a combination.
Yes.
So if the people taking history, on that day will take either history or geography or anything. So in one day, the next paper.
Yes.
So in 5 days, I am going to finish exam. So I brought 1 month into 5 days. I made it common to student. I wanted to ensure that even the optional be related to your degree, but that government did not agree because they believed it will have a problem. So reform was very clear, very, very thought of, in favor of students.
Yes, sir. So this was a drastic reform in the mains examination.
It was not really to an extent, but it was a need.
Yes.
If you are becoming a bureaucrat, if you don't know the country, you don't know the economy of the country, by your knowing Pali and history, it doesn't help you greatly. And I wanted to keep one option subject ready because I didn't want to take them out of university. Otherwise, the parallel education has grown so much that they will not go to university. Like, for example, in Andhra, for JEE exam, the IIT JEE, they run in 10 plus 2, the JEE and the 10 plus 2. So actually, they are coaching for JEE. School is only a by side. This would have actually happened here. So degree would have been by side. But imagine we only select 1,000 people. What would happen to millions of people if I completely break from university?
Yes.
So I resisted that greatly. In fact, after that also there has been a talk that they wanted to remove this option paper. Option paper was brought only that the student grow with the university, and when he goes to university, he learns many things. He interacts peer, he participates university activities, listen to good lectures, he goes to library, he fights in the street, he does everything.
Yes.
So his personality grow. So in fact, I did enormous amount of work.
Sir, when you are selecting a candidate, would you test the candidate with a academic dimension or a bureaucratic dimension?
See, academic dimensions already been checked in our written papers. We broadly discuss issues which are daily life activity, people impacted,
Issues.
policies of the government, and obviously as a bureaucrat, what would be your role in doing these things? And there we want to look at, and we have said, we want you to take a good interest in what happens around you, how does the society impact, and you take an intelligent view. You don't take a repetitive view. And what again, because of parallel education, the difference between the candidate is disappearing. So to discriminate is becoming difficult. In anything which is discriminating, they think it is difficult.
So, you have served the UPSC for almost 11 years as a member and a chairperson, and you would have interviewed around 2 lakhs people, I think. So, what actually UPSC is expecting from these candidates?
You see, one thing about UPSC is that this is one organization which has never hidden anything. You are aware. We don't hide anything. We have given syllabus fully. We have given marks full. We have also given you date fixed. We have also written what are going to be personality tests. We have not hidden anything. And personality tests just revolve around. People believe we'll ask subject. We will ask subject if you are an engineer and what have you done, you should know. You are a graduate after all. So we just want to know, did you take some interest in your graduation? In candidate who are 7-8 years appearing, they just forget what engineering is about. But once they are selected, they would say, I was an engineer. And they start telling people, this is what engineering is about. But in effect, they have forgotten. So we want that interest of them. What have they learned in the university? That's all academics done. Rest is only governance.
So, will there be any favorability towards leftist ideology or rightist ideology?
There's no ideology.
Or centrist?
Country governance has no ideology.
Okay.
Country governance has never had any ideology, not even today. Governance is governance. Role of governance is to work for the policy implementation, get the feedback, take a right decision, be unbiased. That continues. And therefore, the bureaucrats are called the iron curtain. That is still remain. It's only a public image that there is a color. No, obviously, when there is a government policy, it's implementing policy.
Yes.
Policies come with a color or a non-color, is the government would know.
Yeah.
Bureaucrat is not making policy. Who's making policy? Policy is made by the parliament and the governance. And the governance, the government. Difference in the government and the governance is, bureaucrat is a part of a governance.
Yes, sir.
Politics is a part of the government.
Government.
Government might run on ideologies and things like it. So their programs and policies would be debated, discussed. It is for them. And nobody can quarrel with it. A political party coming into power will do things the way they think is best. The bureaucrat has to only employ those policy implementation to the best to people to reach. So I don't see a conflict.
Yes, okay. And finally, sir.
But there are few things, do's and don'ts, which may change. In my time, do's were no political discussion, no discussion on current politicians, no discussion on religion. These were some do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
It may change. because people are also maturing. If you today look at the kind of discussion which happen in multimedia on issues which are relevant, has increased.
Yes.
So boys and girls are also aligned to those kind of things. So what's wrong then?
Mm.
What is important is that you must have your unique idea, not copied, not unnecessarily talking by heart, logical mind, clarity.
Very frequently, people ask me, can the UPSC test the capability and caliber of the candidate in just 30 minutes?
We have done so much about it.
Yes.
We have tested you all through.
Yes.
If you look at the
People
question
forget
paper,
that.
if you look at the question paper, the prelim, nothing on earth is left not to be checked there. Is that right? We give you a case study,
Yes.
we give you a comprehension, we give you numbers, we give you history, geography. What else you should know? You are an engineer, you have taken a subject in history. What do I check up history? When I check history, you don't know about. When I check up the engineering, you feel flat. You fall flat. And it's also not sure that you become a, when a district collector, you are looking more aspects,
Yes.
not engineering.
So, what is the suggestion that you give to the students to
Work hard, read from better material, don't study to the point, understand the subject, clarify your fundamentals, and depending on your capability, regular 5 to 8 hours.
Generally, how many years it will take to complete the civil services preparation, sir?
If somebody is good one, can do in one time. After 19% people are coming in first attempt.
So,
It's a huge number.
okay. So, what
In
is the
second
better-
attempt, another 30%. So almost 50% will complete in 2 years.
Yes.
Remaining 25% in the third year. So only 25% people keep on taking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
What is the better age to start the preparations?
If it is clear for you,
Uh,
earlier the better.